And what's going on, guys? Get this mic a little bit closer to myself here, and we're good. What's happening, guys? Welcome to the 420 news. See a few people out there in the hot box, guys. Give a shout out there to Bobby, Mr. Wes. What else we got out there? Hopefully, I'm coming through loud and clear as well, guys. I really should have fucking checked this out before I went, but it looks like it's all working good on my side. Give me a thumbs up there in the hot box if it's all coming through loud and clear and A-OK-T. But we'll keep the shout outs going there for a second longer. Grab your parachutes. Greenbeard, what is happening, my man? What is happening? Chilbert is out there as well. I thought I seen Mr. Wes there for a second, but oh yeah, I did see Mr. Wes. There he is. Shining in the buckets out there. The roving reporter. What's going on? Graham Parker. Who else we got? Meow Flower. What's happening, Meow Flower? Sorry, guys. Still sipping on the coffee here as well this morning. There's a bank holiday Monday as well, guys. Hopefully everybody's having a good long weekend. We had quite a good day yesterday. A lovely sunny day. We got out to the down to Ardmore there, down in the coast. Down visited a petting farm. Lovely day out. Excellent, nice one for that, Chilbert. Sounds all good. Excellent. Yeah, we'll drive on there. So in a second, more Solid Minds. What's happening, my man? It's been a while. Look forward to seeing that lovely face of yours again sometime soon, I hope. Hopefully everything's good with yourself, man. I see you hitting the decks there quite a bit at the clubs and what have you. Nice to see. Edsar's in the audience as well. What's happening, my man? What is that? A stay home emoji, is it? But it's coming up as like a YouTube logo. That's a funny one. Oh, we won't even go there. Mr. Wells says UK bank holiday was last week, so quiet day in work. Oh no, really? That sucks. So what, the bank holiday is like the last Monday of the month or something in the UK? Isn't it like the bank holiday the first weekend of the month or what have you? It's like the June bank holiday weekend. I don't know. I just thought it would have been the same there. That sucks. Like, imagine like you're living on the border. Like, you're right next to you. One side is going to have a day off and the other side's not. Like, Dougal, what's happening, man? Right, so that's all the howdies done there, I believe, for now. So guys, we have a little bit of news there today. There was quite a bit of cannabis seized in Ireland over the weekend. I'm gonna pop this up there for you, and we'll start with this, and I'll give you all a warning before we get into the later pieces. But I'll probably get a bit choked up at some point, and probably have a few tears coming and stuff, and I might trigger you to do the same as well. So heads up on that. And in saying that, for some people, it might be the next news article that comes up might trigger that fee, because it's a shame to be seeing so much fucking cannabis being found all over the place. Like, so this is actually coming out of the north of Ireland. I'll pop this up on screen for you now. Boom, there you should see that. Officers recover £2 million worth of herbal cannabis hidden in a trailer. And this is coming out of Northern Ireland, where the police recovered the herbal cannabis, what they say is estimated to have a street value of £2 million. And that's how much it would be worth on the street if it was to be sold. Now, I know if you were to be caught with this in the court as well, they'll give you a whole street value up in the UK, whereas they don't do that here in Ireland, which is quite interesting. But I've seen that in cases where, you know, quite a significant amount of cannabis is being seized, but the judge will actually give it its wholesale value in the court. That rarely happens in Ireland, if at all, ever. I can't recall the time it's ever been done. But a PSNI spokesperson said, alongside colleagues from the UK Border Force, officers stopped and searched a heavy goods vehicle in Belfast Harbour shortly after 10:30 p.m. And during the proactive policing operation, suspected herbal cannabis with an estimated street value of around $2 million was located concealed in a trailer. I love how they throw in these keywords. They're like proactive. Oh, we're being proactive in this policing operation. It's like there's nothing proactive about what you're doing at all. Like, it's been the same old stuff for the last, 50, 60 years now. and nothing has changed. There's nothing proactive about it at all. If it was proactive, you'd realize that it's a complete failure what you're doing, and it's actually putting people in more danger and making a change. That would be a proactive thing to do, like continuing to do the same thing. And it's about as proactive as banging your fucking head off the wall, to be fair. But yeah, proactive, keyword there. A 25-year-old man was arrested and remains in police custody. This is a significant seizure. Again, throwing out this word there, significant. Oh, it's significant. Is it really significant? Think of Neil Woods there. Neil Woods, an ex-undercover officer and now a very prominent campaigner for drug policy reform, a member of, I believe, Law Enforcement Against Prohibition, LEAP. But Neil Woods talks about this, that, it's 7 years of undercover work over in the UK that he done, and he said at most, I think he said they might have interrupted the drugs trade for about 7 minutes. So think about that, like 7 years of work. And it's not just the work of one man, it was the work of many, all tied up in this operation. And 7 minutes, he estimated they actually would have interrupted the drug supply, because they don't. Even our own cops here actually acknowledged it not too long ago, that no matter how much drugs they actually seized and interrupted, drugs were still available in every town, village and city around the island of Ireland. At best, there was a couple of seconds of interruption to the drug supply in Ireland, with all of the manpower that we put into trying to interrupt it, Complete failure. But anyway, this significant seizure taken off the streets that would have been destined to destroy lives and communities across Ireland. Remember that, like, destroy lives and communities across the Ireland. They get to say this without producing any evidence, because there's a lot more evidence to be produced, and we'll talk about it in a not very soon, about how the drug policies are actually destroying lives and communities, not just across Northern Ireland, but across the entire island of Ireland, across the entire island of England, Scotland, Wales, and further afield as well. This drug policy has affected many, many people in an extremely malicious way. It's horrible. But it says it represents 2 million that will not be going into the pockets of an organised crime group. But to be fair, again, it's only a small price to pay for these organised crime groups. 2 million, it's only pocket change to them, because at best the PSNI probably interrupt about the same as our cops, about 10% of the supply. So if you're a crime group, you're just going to heavily invest in what you're shipping in, and you're going to expect for a seizure from time to time to get seized and taken. And that's just a part of doing business, and it's all written into the price of the drug on the street. The markup on, like, cannabis, say, for example, is extremely high. And they're making a very, very high profit margin. Not the people selling it on the street. A lot of the times they're only just making their own supply, but the people bringing it into the country, these larger organised crime groups, they can afford to lose a couple of million here and there. Because in reality, it wasn't actually 2 million worth of cannabis that was seized. To them, it was probably only about 100,000 or so wholesale value. But again, cops like to overinflate what they're doing to make themselves look better. But you know the story. I'm preaching to the choir here. I know this. I can see it coming in there in the hot box. Like, people are privy to this already. But the general public, they do get swayed a little bit by this. Like, there's people out there, John, they'll be, oh, well done cops, that's great, they're really hitting those organised crime groups hard, but they're not, like. To have taken this quantity of suspected herbal cannabis from the streets will have a severe impact on the criminals linked to this operation. Again, it's just lies. They're just lying through their teeth, and they've no shame in doing so. Because again, reference Neil Woods, like, that man was not lying when he says what he says. He put his life on the line to try to interrupt the drug supply, and he's seen afterwards, the hopelessness of their campaign. It was an impossible task, and one in which they were dragging down other people in an attempt to kind of keep this fallacy afloat. But anyway, the spokesperson added our detectives are following up in a line of inquiry that these drugs may have been destined for the Lurgan, Portadown and Armagh area. Local neighbourhood policing teams have assisted with the follow-up searches in this area. And again, they're out there putting it up in their Twitter and stuff, looking for their pats in the back. They're getting 38 likes, but I can guarantee if you went into it, there's far more quote tweets there than retweets where people are just slating them for what they're doing. They're wasting their time. They're empowering organised crime groups by keeping this prohibition propped up. But, they'll never really talk about that. They'll always speak within their own echo chamber. We've seen it here recently ourselves with the attempts of the Gardaí to keep their powers of stop and search and all of this through the Citizens' Assembly. A very dishonest, I would just say, presentation by the Gardaí. Full of misinformation. But the seizure and arrest highlights the ability of strong partnerships working with key stakeholders to tackle this type of organised criminality. By providing information, you are directly targeting the criminals who continue to be a scourge in our communities across Northern Ireland. I would appeal to anyone who can help us identify suspects or provide any information about suspected drug dealing in their area to call the non-emergency 101 number. It's like they're just looking for the community to do their job. But again, they're trying to mislead the community as in it's something, you should be doing, you need to be doing this. You're protecting your community because, drugs are discouraging people. But like, how many people receiving this cannabis were relying on it because of medical necessity and because of an inability to afford a private prescription on the UK model? Because in the UK, you can go in and you can pay a couple of pounds and you get a consultation and then you get a prescription and then you pay a couple of more pounds to get your medication. It's money, but some people don't have that money and it's just easier to go to the street and buy an old 50 bag. You don't need a consultation, you don't need that. And quite often or not, the quality of the cannabis on the street has been better than what the patients have been getting through the pharmacies and the private models. So it's a really horrible situation, and these cops then putting this up. They're making it out as if it's a good thing, but it's not a good thing. They're actually taking away some people's supply of medication, and that's what you're seeing here is a portion of this. Not all of this, some of this probably would have ended up in the hands of maybe teenagers. Some of it ended up in the hands of people who didn't have any medical needs, but just enjoyed consumption of cannabis, which I wouldn't frown upon. But fall into the hands of teenagers, I can definitely frown upon that in some respects because we're not assured of the quality of this. We're not assured of the what would you say the quality of the individual selling it to the teenager, and we're not even assured that the teenagers themselves then aren't going to be being used to sell this either, which is another problem of the prohibition model, something that's never really talked about. So there's so many issues there that need to be talked about, but these guys, it's a great day for the force, great operation, but complete waste of resources. You've patience over there in the UK, and we're going to get into that now. So I gave you a little trigger warning there earlier, but I just wanted to kind of highlight this, the amount of cannabis being taken, the amount of resources being afforded to these forces, because it's all public money in the UK and Ireland. It's all public money going into the cops. It's money that could be used for much better means. It's money you could still be given to the cops by having them utilise their time in a much more efficient way to keep people safe, because currently they're not keeping people safe. They're empowering organised crime gangs, but at the same time taking away a vital supply of medication to patients under this prohibition model. Patients don't have any other alternative until we legalise and regulate it, and people can just walk into a store and be afforded a high quality, low cost product because of a competitive market. People are going to, unfortunately, be destined to buy it from the black market. Even in places where it has been legalised and regulated, they've kind of gotten it wrong, and they might have over-regulated, increased the price, again forcing people back to the legacy market. They made it difficult for the legacy market suppliers even to get licenses and to supply to their patients, and patients remained loyal to them. So many issues there. But look, we're going to stay on point because I'll end up going off in tangents here and there. But as I said, many patients out there relying on this as a vital supply of medication, and because of the cost of the medication too. So I'm going to just pop up a post here by a patient, a mother of a patient over in the UK. And this is Joanne Griffiths, the mother of Boisterous Ben. So the mother of Ben, otherwise known as Boisterous Ben. That's the hashtag that was used for himself. He only just recently turned 16 as well. So I give a happy birthday there to Ben. Happy 16th birthday, Ben. Hope you had a nice day. No doubt your mammy spoiled you. But we'll go to the post. So Joanne Griffiths here was sharing a post, and as I talked about it earlier, I'm just looking for my water, but I might have misplaced it. Oh well, coffee it is. But I talked about patients having to pay out of their own pocket. So Joanne Griffiths here sharing a post from June 2020. So from a post she put up 3 years ago. And in that original post, she says, Ben's cannabis oil, £31,016 paid out so far on Bedrolite and Bedica. We didn't pay that for no reason, though. It keeps Ben's seizures under control by 95 to 100%. So in no way is like cannabis a cure, it's a treatment. And it's a very effective treatment here, 95 to 100% effectiveness, as pointed out by Ben's man back in June 2020. She says, some people said, oh, there is a cheaper Bedrolite product just the same now on the market. And so she looked into this a little, and it turns out it's an isolate, a broad spectrum. It's also a different carrier oil. This oil may work wonderfully for some Epidiolex, for some as Epidiolex and other oils do for some people, but whole plant works best for Ben. And she said, unfortunately, I already experienced coming off a whole plant product onto Epidiolex, another isolate in 2018, and she said it turned out badly for Ben. He ended up in hospital having 300 tonic and drop seizures a day. He nearly died. We would never risk our son's life again, which is why we continued to pay the higher price for the only whole plant product that was available to us over a year ago. It was what the private doctor felt comfortable prescribing with the guidance that was available. It also cost £550 a bottle, and at first, it cost £550 a bottle at first. We thankfully now get this at a much reduced cost per bottle. So £31,000 paid by then. And in this post, she finishes with saying, I just wanted to make it clear, as people have made comments on other children's posts, we would never do anything that may harm our son. So while he is amazingly well, we would not risk changing. We do, however, feel there is no reason why other people wanting to try CBD shouldn't try other products available on the market to try to find the right one for them. So obviously there were some issues back then with people saying, try this oil, try that oil because of the cost of the product. But as a parent, you don't want to change. Changing can have disastrous consequences, as pointed out here by Joanne. But in sharing the post, she says 3 years later, and get this, 76,697 and 36 pence. So £76,697 and 36 pence spent to keep our son alive. And what mother wouldn't spend that? Do you know, I as a parent myself, I know you wouldn't probably blink an eye in paying the ultimate price for your kid, and that is sacrificing your life. Do you know, if your child needed a life-saving bloody organ transplant and you were the only person who could give it to him, no problem, I'll jump on the table. Of course, what parent wouldn't? But that's an astronomical amount of money to be having to hand over for something like that. And this was a post she only shared yesterday. And in the post you see a little love heart there shaped out of all of the Bedrolite bottles, and a little side shot there of the Bedrolite and the Bedica as well, I suppose, is probably in there somewhere. But crazy, that a patient is forced to pay so much, and then you can see why people are then going to the black market. £550 a bottle at first, not everybody has that kind of money. And maybe you get enough there for the first 3-6 months, and then like other patients, you find out that it's working, it's great. But now it's like, oh crap, the cost, what am I going to do? And then you're like, you're not even spending time with your child because you're spending so much time having to fundraise. And I know that's a complaint I've heard from other parents, like, and it's not something that they don't want to be, like, of course they don't want to be, they don't want to be fundraising, but they have to be fundraising because it's the only thing. But they shouldn't have to be. What they really want to be doing is spending time with their child, because now that their child is finding a higher quality of life, they're experiencing less seizures, they're returning to themselves, and their parents should be fully present there. The parents shouldn't be worrying about next month's prescription, paying for next month's prescription, coming up with the next fundraiser idea, organising the next fucking bake sale or the next chest waxing at the pub or whatever the case may be. It's just absolutely horrible that it's not sorted out yet. So now we get to the more distressing parts of it, and I hope this is okay with Joanne to be sharing this video, but it's a post that she put up there yesterday as well. And I just came across it there earlier this morning while preparing for this. And Ben has been very poorly with what they think is either viral or bacterial tonsillitis. She says, now Ben has had tonsillitis before and COVID twice and had no increase in seizures, but this has floored him. Ben was treated and sent home from hospital with the paediatrician knowing we had no Bedicat left. So this is the THC product that they're using for Ben. They wanted to prescribe it for Ben, but the current guidance in place meant she felt it would be unethical. So this is the doctor in charge at the hospital for her to do so, or the consultant, I suppose. But she felt she could do so shared care. So we went home that evening, and by 3 a.m. Ben was very poorly with increased temperature, vomiting, and increased seizures. It says we had to administer rescue medication for the first time in over 4 years. He progressively got worse, and we had to administer a second rescue medication and then phone an ambulance. And if you don't know what a rescue medication is, one of them is called Bucalam, I think it's called. And it's basically something you give a person when they go in, they start having a seizure, and the seizure doesn't stop after like 30 seconds or more, or maybe a little bit longer. But once you don't believe that the seizure is going to stop, you administer this, and it's supposed to stop the seizure then after it's administered. If it doesn't work, you can give a second shot of it. If that doesn't work, call the bloody ambulance if it hasn't been called already. I've only ever once experienced, in my adulthood anyway, a seizure like this, and I hope to God I'll never experience one again. But scary stuff, not good either. Like, Jesus, I'm very lucky I got out of it pretty much unscathed. Didn't notice too much damage done to my brain, as is done by seizures. As soon as you go into seizures, your brain is deprived of oxygen and it's drawn into hyperdrive. Parts of it are like overheating stuff. It does fierce damage to the brain. People come back from seizures haven't been able to walk, talk, all of that stuff. Chew, swallow. Thankfully, as I say, touch wood, fucking I don't have one and I don't experience that, but I'm very lucky that I didn't. That was April of last year I had that one. Scary, really took me down. Took me well over a month to recover from it. But anyway, as Joanne says here, we had he went to Resus and then HDU. He had full oxygen on, but his SATs were still only 72 and his heartbeat was 218. So that 72 is like your oxygen saturation in your blood. That's low. And that, as I said, your brain gets deprived of oxygen in, and then the heart racing like that, 218 beats a minute, I believe. That's incredibly fast heart rate. She says, thankfully a plan was made with the help of Professor Mike Barnes, as neither Alder Hay, Manchester Children's Hospital, or Preston knew about drug interactions when using cannabis. Guys, this is just a shameful testament of the health professionals out there and their unwillingness to learn about cannabis medications and administering to kids, because it's life-saving, And as Joanne says here, nearly 5 years after the law was changed to prescribe these medications, and they still don't know any better. Like, seriously, somebody needs to be held to account for this. Why wasn't there a program put in place, a continuous professional development course around cannabis for health professionals to avoid situations like this? Joanne had to go home or to go and borrow another child's THC medication until Ben's was delivered to the hospital. He was able to go home after a few days. She says, cannabis is not a cure for epilepsy. There is no cure. It is just an effective treatment where others have failed. Would you not want access to free medical cannabis if your child, for your child, if it stopped 100 plus of these daily seizures? And she shares a video here, and again, guys, distressing footage probably within this, but it's of these are the seizures people experience because of epilepsy.
All right, baby. All right.
Come on.
Okay. That's ripped up yet again.
Put it on quick though.
Come on. I know. Right, then you really need to do something there.
You know, that's, yeah, the poor child. Horrible, absolutely horrible. Like, shame on any health system that'll make it difficult for a family to access something that can prevent things like this. Now, Ben had access to cannabis as a medication before these seizures happened and stuff. This was triggered because of an infection. This is the reality of it for people who suffer with epilepsy. Cannabis isn't a cure at all, by any means. It's effective, you know, as Joanne says, 95 to 100% effective. If a kid is like not suffering any infection or anything like that, the effectiveness of cannabis is much higher. Infections like colds, COVID, tonsillitis, as mentioned here in this post, these things are triggers that they increase the risk of seizures. Cannabis isn't the cure, but it's certainly effective. And then when your child actually does have breakthrough seizures, as they're known, on these medications because of infections, and then you're requiring the help of the health professionals, and they're like, oh, we can't help you here. Oh, it's like unethical. You know, unethical. That's the word here used. You know, unethical for them to do so. Seriously, guys. It's like 5 years after the law has changed, and it's still unethical. And this, again, this is in the UK. That's not Ireland. Just the UK. But we're very much the same here. Unethical for health professionals to prescribe cannabis to a patient, despite the effectiveness of it. 95 to 100% effectiveness there for a patient. Not a cure by any means, but an incredibly effective treatment. Jesus, like. Jeez. And then we follow up on this. And we go over to another page. And it's a page of another epilepsy patient. I'm going to pop it up here now, just make sure I'm opening the right page for you. Cayman's Journey. So this video, I'm not going to play the video. It's the post I wanted to read because it's very relevant here, following on from that, because this is a story of a patient trying to get access to cannabis through their consultant at a time when the drugs that were being prescribed to the patient were causing all sorts of issues within the person's body, you know, causing issues with the liver and stuff like that. There were side effects of these drugs because they're dangerous drugs. I know myself, as they took me off them after my seizures stopped as a baby because of the dangerousness of them. And thankfully, as I said, I'm here not having to use them today and using cannabis successfully today. But these drugs have, they definitely have an impact on the body, and taking them long term is going to impact even more. But Cayman's Journey, they put up this post back in 2019, January 2019. It says, unfortunate, this is a daily life for Cayman. He has been like this since the beginning of January. This is all happening all day, struggling to keep down feeds, fluids, losing weight. This is due to the cocktail of toxic pharmaceutical anticonvulsants that he has been prescribed. As you can clearly see, he is clearly distressed and extremely fed up. His recent bloods have shown his liver enzymes continued to slowly increase regardless of reducing the clobazam, whatever it's called. They're one of those anti-epileptic drugs that they prescribe, Having had a conversation with his neurologist, we decided to continue to reduce the clobazam and reduce the sodium valproate by 1 dose then repeat bloods on Monday. Having asked again about prescribing full extract medical cannabis, her answer was, "I'm sorry, I cannot help you. You will need to find another doctor that prescribed medical cannabis and maybe get a second opinion." I asked her why she wouldn't prescribe. Was it due to her personally or the trust? The trust, I believe, is this kind of little body within the UK. I think it exists within the NHS. I don't understand it fully, but I believe these guys are like the gatekeeper for signing off and approving medications through the NHS or something like that. But again, I could be completely wrong in that. I'm open to correction, but I do believe that's what it is. But she continues, her answer was, collectively as doctors, they will not prescribe. I replied, "You don't have any other options available for Cayman." She said, "We do have one option. It's not a drug we usually use. It's called felbamate, but it can cause blood problems and would have to have careful monitoring." Let's listen to this next part because this is just shameful testimony of these health professionals and their absolute failure of patience and their failure to uphold their oath of at first do no harm. And it continues that at the time of the conversation, I had never heard of the drug, but since researching it, I am absolutely astonished to find to what I found. Felbamate is not available in Canada, the UK or Australia. It is available in some European countries. When felbamate was introduced in 1993, it carried high expectations, many hopes it would be able to control seizure disorders that had not been controlled before. Unfortunately, after only 1 year, the FDA recommended withdrawal of patients from felbamate because of reports of very serious side effects. And the side effects are aplastic anemia or liver failure. The evidence discouraged doctors from using felbamate, and many doctors do not even consider prescribing the drug. I then read felbamate is only recommended for patients whose epilepsy is so severe that a substantial risk of aplastic anemia or liver failure is considered acceptable in light of the potential benefits of its use. Please, can someone explain to me why any doctor would want to prescribe this drug with such catastrophic side effects that isn't even licensed or available in the UK, but will not consider prescribing medical cannabis? So Cayman continues to suffer, and we will continue to fight to keep Cayman alive. And that's a picture there, a little still from a video, and I believe he's getting sick in this video and stuff. I won't play it. I didn't actually watch the video myself, but I just thought that post was very relevant, following on there from Ben's story and Ben's experience. You know, that their willingness to prescribe these other products, and this would have been funded by the NHS. They wouldn't have had to privately pay for this out of their own pocket. That would have been provided by the NHS. But medical cannabis, no. We can't talk about that. We won't do it. If you want to do that, go to one of those private doctors and, you know, do it there. So a consultant who might be actually working with a patient for many years and built up I suppose, what would you say, built a rapport with the patient. They know who the patient is, and they're just willing to cut ties just like that because the patient now is going to be using medical cannabis to treat their condition. It's just shameful. Shameful, guys. Absolutely shameful. As you're all probably wondering why epilepsy is very much central here to the show this morning or this afternoon. And it's a tribute. I should have said this at the start of the show. My apologies. I should actually opened with this, but it's a tribute today. It's a tribute to Ava. Jeez. That's probably why I didn't open with it. Give me a second. Yeah. It's even a hard story to cover. Fighting back the tears. Jeez. Try not to get too choked up. But yeah, we probably all very well aware of the passing of Ava. Yeah, just give me a second. Ah, jeez. I'll pop the post up there in 1 second. Ah, then boom. Do. But yeah, as I said, I gave you the warning beforehand, and I was definitely going to be getting choked up on this one. Boom, boom. Oh god. Has to be done though. Has to be done. Has to be covered. For sure. Jeez, for the life of me, I'm struggling to open up the page. There we go. Oh, I should have had this open up beforehand. But I recently shared the post after a bit of a delay. I had a lot of stuff on my own plate, I suppose. I was dealing with myself and just didn't get around to. I was just kind of neglecting everything there all last week, as I didn't even get a stream up. But sadly, Ava passed last week, and she's since been laid to rest at a private funeral. So yeah, I was on a roll there. We'll pop this up anyway. So Vera posted after a couple of days, and she said her sincere thanks. For all the messages of support for our beautiful Ava. Jesus. We are broken-hearted now and beyond grateful for the love expressed for her darling, and we wish to appeal for privacy from all media outlets at this very difficult time. So that was a couple of days ago, and Ava's since been laid to rest, and I believe the media did give him quite a lot of privacy there around that. There was very little reporting of it after the fact, and fair play to him for that. And I don't believe there was anybody kind of I don't want to hear anything anyway. There was no politicians and stuff going on there, getting photos of it and anything like that. I know a few people were kind of like, she's shaming them if they actually show up, because I'm sure Vera would probably want to rip them a new one for all they made her do. But this is my post to Vera and Paul and the rest of the family. Yeah, let's do that. Let's toast one. Oh god, I knew this was going to be a tough one to do, but my post, which was written up with a lot of tears flowing, actually, I'd say. Hopefully I can get through here once anyway, straight from start to finish. Let's try. Ava and Vera captured the hearts of the nation and even the world's in their struggle to access cannabis-based medicines to treat Ava's epilepsy in Ireland. And that's specifically Dravet syndrome, a medicine-resistant type of epilepsy that begins typically in the first year of a baby's life. It saddens me so much to think of how much Vera and Paul had to sacrifice to get Ava's access to medicine, which gave her and her family a much higher quality of life. Vera had to walk from Cork to Dublin not once but twice. The first attempt was called off after a call from the minister. Sorry, guys. Do you know, that first attempt, I remember it. I think she got as far as Mallow. Maybe just a little bit past Mallow. That's quite a trek, where she started from to get to Mallow. Oh, God. Sorry, for all the sniffles. But I believe it was Simon Harris, who called her and was like, all promises, and nothing fucking happened. And she had to go the second time. And on the second walk, which she completed, she was actually accompanied along the way by a marching band. I'm going to give that video a play there in a while. Vera also had to live in exile in Holland, away from the family and friends, in order to access this medicine. And this is a news article from that time. And it was around revealing the success of cannabis over there for Ava and helping prevent her seizures at the time. But we go back. But it saddens me even further to think Ava had Ava access to that cannabis medicine much sooner in her life, would she experienced far less seizures and therefore far less damage to her brain. And would she still be alive today then? Therefore, because of that, would that the damage that done allowed her body to be able to take the challenges put forward there recently, in which she succumbed to, unfortunately. But we'll never know that, unfortunately, because that was denied her. But not our health minister, Simon Harris. He can't take all the blame for this. This is the prohibitionists who denies this. The prohibitionists, because don't forget that back in 1970 whatever, when this was being debated in the government, when they were debating making cannabis illegal and stuff, the idea of medical cannabis was put forth back then. Back then, before they made it illegal. Oh, there's potential medical benefits there with this. Nothing. That's absurd. Continue on. They questioned the violation of people's rights. No, it's absurd. Nobody's rights. These people have no rights. Like, look at that face. Like, they denied her that back then. That was something that should have been entertained back then. Just medical benefits. There is. Yeah, William Burcock Shaughnessy, he actually introduced it to Western medicine. An Irishman, a man born, I believe, originally in Limerick. I believe he studied in the UK and later discovered cannabis in India. He brought it back to Western medicine, an Irishman. And then later another Irishman, or Irishmen, denied it to patients like Ava. Fucking bigots. That's all they were at the time, But anyhow, alright, this is an epilepsy patient myself, denied access to cannabis by my health professionals, and as a patient put on anti-epileptic drugs like Keppra, which left me suicidal and experiencing flash anger. I'm now, over a year seizure free thanks to legally medicating with cannabis. As many as 1 in 40,000 kids born will have Dravet syndrome, and I hope someday soon, thanks to people like Vera and Ava, they will have immediate access to cannabis-based medicines. This needs to happen, and any bill passed should be in Ava's name. Sorry, no. And that was like the one Gino Kenny tried to pass back in 2016. But the heartless government ministers, they refused and instead opted for... fuck. What a horrible situation, like. But they instead opted for the Medical Cannabis Access Programme, which is not fit for purpose. People like myself are denied access, still treated like criminals. Patients like Ava, kids born today will still be forced to endure the cocktail of drugs on their little bodies before ever entertaining the idea that maybe cannabis could be a potential benefit. Cannabis, which is a natural remedy used for thousands of years by humans, and it's like the myths and the lies around it are absolutely insane. It's been used for thousands of years as a medicine. It was never highlighted as a problem only until recently around the Reaper Madness area, when there was people who benefited from its prohibition, and they made us not pay attention to the people who are going to suffer as a result. As I talked about, the debate back in the 1970s or in Ireland when we were making this even more illegal, introducing the Misuse of Drugs Act 1977. People like Ava were just forgotten about. They didn't entertain it back then, and this is the consequence we see today. Imagine if back then somebody said, oh yeah, look, actually there potentially is. Look, we're going to get some people in college to look into this. We're going to get some trials going. We're going to get some patients in, and we're going to try to provide cannabis as a medication for epilepsy in Ireland. No, let's just shut the door on it. Let's not do anything about it. Shameful on them. Shamefully. So, rest in peace, little Eva. A video here, a song I'd like to play. Before I do, I'll just share where I got this song from, and do I have the post still open? So many posts open here. There it is. Yeah, Anne Williams shared this anyway. Shout out to Anne Williams. I can't find the original post which you shared there, Anna. It's down a little bit in your page. Let's just quickly scroll down. It shouldn't take me a second to find it. I must have closed it there in all of what was going on. 8th of March. No, we're going way too far there now. Where is it? Oh, it's because yes. I was in my Martin's World account. Yeah, forgive me, guys. Forgive me. No, we'll see it. I was signed into Martin's World there, so I wasn't able to see Anne Williams' posts. My apologies, guys. My apologies. There it is. This is what Anne Williams wrote, sharing the song. Like everyone else, I'm deeply distressed at the loss of beautiful and strong and brave Ava Barry. This song was given to me by the writer Kieran O'Connell, a family friend of Paul and Vera's. He is Irish but lives in Australia. I used it for Vera's campaign for her book for Ava and never thought I would be posted again, but was there ever a more apt song for this terrible time? Fly high angel, you are Ireland's beautiful golden girl, you will never be forgotten. Lovely words, and an even lovelier song, so enjoy.
I walk from Cork to Dublin just to see you smile, to take away your suffering just for a little while. I walk those miles with sorrow to the Liffey from the Lee, but oh, the things that I learned when sorrow walked with me. The power of one is mighty, but the power of all is best. Rise against the men in suits who stand and beat their chests, for we will not be silenced by the rhetoric that you spout. We will fight for justice, we will stand and scream and shout. Have you not got children of your own? Can you not feel my pain? I know the devastation that goes on in my brain. To allow a child to suffer, we just cannot abide. Oh, you will not defeat us, you will not cast us aside. The good people of this country, politicians best take note. Don't take us for granted, we have the right to vote. What you don't seem to realize is the people hold the power. And if we choose in ballot box, we'll knock your ivory towers. The time has come to stand as one from all corners of the land. Our children must not suffer while you sit on your hands. So please remember Ava, let's not forget her name. Legalize this medicine, let it not become your shame. I walk from Cork to Dublin just to see you smile, to take away your suffering just for a little while. I walk those miles with sorrow to the Liffey from the Lee, but all the things that I learned when sorrow walked with me. I walk from Cork to Dublin just to see you smile, take away your suffering just for a little while. I walk those miles with sorrow and walk from shore to shore, just to have my little girl, I'd walk 10,000 more. Just to have my little girl, I'd walk 10,000 more.
So a lovely, lovely song. That's over on Kieran O'Connell Topic, guys, over on YouTube. If you want to go find it, give it a couple more views. Definitely deserves a lot more than 93 views. Because a lovely song, an amazing tribute to Ava now. Even more now than it was then, when you listen to the words of that song. But we'll continue. We just have one more video there to play on this story. And we'll kind of start signing off then at that point, as this show largely was a tribute to Ava. And I know now I didn't start on this because it was easier just to get through that shitty fucking drug seizure and kind of follow into that story then with Ben, and then follow up here with Ava's torn up by it. But this other video here, it's the one actually linked in the post by myself. Where is it now? There we go. YouTube. So this was originally put up there on the journal. So I'll put this into full screen.
Just so grateful that people care around the country, that, you know, we'll make them change above in Dublin, because people, the real people of Ireland, care, you know.
Ava's got Dravet syndrome, an intractable form of drug-resistant epilepsy. She's tried all the pharmaceutical medications, 11 in total, they all failed. She has, with this syndrome, up to 20 seizures a day. That would be the tonic-clonic seizures, the big ones. And since we started CBD oil, her condition has improved dramatically. But we are badly in need of the THC as well as the CBD to treat Ava's seizures.
Yeah.
Because people that use the THC with the CBD see further improvement in the control of the seizures. The difficulty is that THC is not legal over 0.02% in this country. Mm-hmm. So the consultants are not in a position to be able to prescribe it at the roughly 1 to 2% level that we need it. So if they can't prescribe this type of medicinal cannabis, because they'd be breaking the law. So that is why Simon Harris has to change the legislation to allow consultants and, in our case, paediatricians, the opportunity to safely prescribe medicinal cannabis for their own selves and for their patients as well.
But what's her condition like at the moment?
Ava's seizures have improved dramatically, but she's still getting probably 7 or 8 tonic-clonic seizures every month. So if we had the THC, Ava could possibly, it's unknown to me, the improvement. We might have no seizures, we might have just 1 or 2.
Yeah.
And you see, every seizure is deadly. You don't know how long any one of her seizures is going to last. Her seizures could last 2 hours, they could last 20 minutes, they could last 2 minutes, you just don't know.
Yeah.
And every time she goes into a seizure, depending on how oxygen deprived the child might be, she could come out of it with brain damage, she might not come out of it at all. And so it's crucial, it's so urgent that we get this further opportunity to reduce Ava's seizures, because her whole life is on the line.
Let's put it this way, let's cut to the chase. No woman in Ireland should have to walk for a week to gain medicinal cannabis, which is it's tangible, it can help her daughter, but she has to fight for it this way. It's immoral. It's absolutely immoral in this country that a woman has to do this. So look, let's put our heads together, other different parties, and legislate for medicinal cannabis in Ireland.
it's criminal is what he should have said, really. Like, and I said immoral, like, which it certainly is, but I'd say it's even more fucking criminal than anything. Jeez, moving the whole screen there now. And to just grab that Chrome box. Stick that back over there. But that was a part of Vera's walk from Cork to Dublin for Eva, in which the marching man came out, and that was just a symbol, I suppose. You know, it's a small representation of the amount of support there, because the entire nation was really behind Vera at that time. I would have joined her along that walk. I was away in a college placement in France at the time. I remember watching that from the dorm room over there. And likewise, you know, just seeing that marching, man, that was quite emotive. All those little kids from that public school coming out marching behind Vera, because I'd imagine, you know, she's looking at them and just thinking, you know, that could be my Eva, if she gets access to cannabis. And I believe for quite some time it was, you know, she was doing much better with cannabis, you know, going to school and all of that, and why any politician would deny that to him and make him go through such a hardship to get it. And still to this very, very day, patients are denied access to this medication, which works. It works. It's undeniable. It works. Vera and Eva, they benefited immensely. The entire family benefited immensely. And I hope any changes to the law that get made for patients will be done, as I say, in Eva's name. Gino Kenny's bill back in 2016 was supposed to be Eva's bill. It was the one they killed. They killed Eva's bill back in 2016 to opt for the other medical cannabis access program, which, as I say, it's not fit for purpose. It really isn't. But shaming them, we could have a bill currently in existence benefiting not just epilepsy patients, but that bill would have benefited the many patients out there who benefit from cannabis access illegally at the moment. Those are patients suffering with multiple sclerosis, fibromyalgia, Crohn's disease, just the inflammation-related conditions and related inflammation. The list goes on. There's many patients out there currently using cannabis illegally, benefiting, but that they can't do so because of the patient or the government opting for this medical cannabis access program instead of going for Eva's bill. Eva's bill was a very well put together bill by Gino Kenny and the team there. But they killed it. It got supported at stage 1. I believe it got supported at stage 2. And I think it's at stage 3. It got stalled on the money matter. I think that's where they killed it out then. The money matter, as they put it. And I want to play one more video before we finish off. And it's Vera Twomey's speech from the Person of the Year Awards. So RT actually censored a good bit of this speech. So I'll play for you the speech in its entirety first. So I'll pop this up here. So you see the search results coming back. You see the first one, Vera Twomey Awards, and it's 50 seconds long, this video. 58 seconds. And let the other one, uncensored, 2 minutes and 18 seconds. So let's play that.
This award is supposed to be for extraordinary people, but for us, we were just ordinary people put in an extraordinary situation where we had to fight to get what Eva needed. We've been let down by the government, but we were never let down by the Irish people who supported us the whole way through this for the last 2 years. And I would like to say, because Mr. Varadkar is here tonight, I would like to say that the outstanding issues must be resolved. I would like to say that the outstanding issue is legislation for medical cannabis in Ireland. We need legislation to access treatment properly. We do not want the pain. We want our rights. We do not want the pressure We need our medication. We want the government and opposition to work together to give the people of Ireland the gift, because it is a gift that Eva has received, and that is her freedom. Freedom to live her life free from seizures and free from pain. To live and to grow and to be happy with a brighter future, because everyone deserves that right now and into the future. Not just 7 people who have been granted licences in Ireland to date, but the thousands of other people that are watching here tonight, hoping and praying that legislation would be brought through to ease their suffering and their pain. So I would ask you, Ms Varadkar, to lift the money message on Gino Kenny's bill, to move it forward and to support legislation for the people of Ireland into the future. We want it now, and you're the man to do it, and we want you to do it immediately. Thank you.
Well said. And there you are.
Very much. Thank you.
Rob, you can see how people react to Vera.
The neck on him. Seriously, like, look at the neck on him, like the smug look there, like smug.
See how people react.
I go back a second longer. Go back. I think we can actually, if I can slow the speed down here and everything, can't we? Oh, we can, we can slow this. Let's just go down to quarter. We'll turn off the sound. Like, watch the smug look on this. Like, seriously, man. Like, hopefully that's coming through better to you there now. Like, seriously. He didn't even applaud a woman. I know she ripped into him, but he should have applauded. Like, you see that smile on his face there? Like, the shame on him. Should have paused it there, but you know. Jeez, man. And this guy is our Taoiseach again. This guy is sitting as our Taoiseach currently. He killed David's bill. Like, you know, that could have helped so many people in the name of such a worthy person too, you know. Eva, the daughter of the warrior that is Vera, who walked from Cork to Dublin, you know. Man, it just kills me. What a missed opportunity. But I really do hope that if there is any legislation put forward to change the law on cannabis, that it does actually include the name of Eva and maybe even Vera, you know. Because geez, Vera had she was moved a nation, I suppose. Yeah, she did. Like that story, that campaign, you know, having to live in exile for that period of time, it's shameful. And she isn't the only one to have to do that, you know. There was another parent before her as well. But after she got access to cannabis for her son, she stood away from the campaigning, which was totally in her right. But Vera stepped forward and was very much a very loud vocal advocate for a change in policy to allow patients access to cannabis, especially epilepsy patients. And I hope that they change that stupid medical cannabis access program where you have to try all of the other drugs. Make a change and make it in Ava's name, an amendment in Ava's name to the medical cannabis access program. There you go. That's something they could probably do. An amendment in Ava's name to the medical cannabis access program to lift the absolutely stupid requirement for you to try other drugs, and to change it also, requiring a consultant to just working with your GP. Because, you know, your family GP, the person who's been seeing you from being a little baby, nobody knows you better than them. They know your family. If you're a little baby, your mum and dad are going to be bringing you to their GP, and they know your mum and dad, so therefore they're going to have a better understanding of who you are and all of that. Who better than a GP to be leading the program? But more needs to be done to educate GPs and consultants also alike. But a GP and consultant, or a GP-led program, is certainly far superior to a consultant one. So, 2 amendments to the medical cannabis access program in Ava's name. One being the ludicrous requirement to try other drugs, and the other being an even more ludicrous requirement to have a consultant prescribe you. So, like, I have a consultant currently for my epilepsy. The last time I met him, refused to entertain the idea of prescribing me medical cannabis to treat my epilepsy, despite the fact I told them, look, I've actually stopped taking the medication you were giving me because the Keppra made me, as I said, suicidal and have flash anger, and completely like psychotic. It wasn't a good drug at all, and I know there's people out there who've shared with me they've also experienced the same thing, and reading in the literature, it's quite a high percentage of people, as much as 1 in 4 people can experience this side effect, so that's crazy, absolutely crazy. But they gave that to me. My consultant would give that to me before they would give me medical cannabis, which I was currently already using illegally, which I told them, hey, I'm a year seizure free without using your drugs, but I'm only using cannabis. It's a bit more intensive than what I've ever been using cannabis before, but it's effective in actually keeping my seizures at bay, at least it seems to be. I've definitely had a few ropey moments over the year, but thankfully I've not had any seizures break through. I've had definitely experienced like kind of signs of auras and what have you, times of high stress, especially recently. But thankfully I've had no breakthrough seizures, and touch wood, fucking long may that continue, but I hope someday soon I can do that with the support of my health professionals, and I hope when I do, maybe it's because of Vera and Eva's campaign. You know, I hope somebody like Gino can put forward an amendment, a recommendation of an amendment with those 2 recommendations. Surely let's make it happen. You know, let's get that happen. That hashtag going again. Make it happen. You know, make it medicine. Make it happen. That was all Eva and Vera at that time. So I think we should bring that back to life, and make it medicine, make it happen. Let's change it, because currently it's not seen as medicine, guys. Come on, it's a last resort. Like, you seen that post there earlier that I read about the felbamate, a very high level of toxicity to the body. You know, causes all sorts of issues within the blood. As a last resort, they'll give you that before they give you cannabis. Let's change that. Let's change that. So again, as I said, this show largely is a tribute to Eva and to Vera's work to get Eva access to cannabis today. But before I sign off, I do have another story I want to bring forth. And it's a story of a hot boxer who unfortunately isn't hotboxing with us today. Thankfully, the person hasn't passed, thank God. But unfortunately, they have become the victim of the prohibition of cannabis. That is J.W.I. Power, or otherwise known as Joe Williams. And Joe Williams, unfortunately, has received a 3-year prison sentence with 2 years suspended, or was it a 3.5 year prison sentence with 2 years suspended, I believe. We'll read it there again in a sec. I'll pop it up on screen for you to see the actual headline. So this article was actually sent to me by Joe's mum. So Joe, Joe's a carer for his young son and for his elderly father. His elderly father is quite unwell at the moment and has been over the last month or so, and Joe's been daily visiting him at the hospital, but unfortunately, as of just over a week ago now, Joe has not been able to visit his dad on a daily basis. Joe at best gets a 6-minute phone call every day to one phone number. Most days he's chosen to ring his mum, and who times it to be at the hospital with his dad, and he gets to chat with him over the phone for 6 minutes. And like 5 minutes into the call, there's a beep, and then 30 seconds you get another beep, and then it's an abrupt ending at 6 minutes. So Joe now, not only is Joe suffering, his dad is suffering, his mum is suffering, his son is suffering, his friends are suffering as we miss Joe. Joe's an active member of the Cannabis Activist Alliance, organised a number of protests down in Kerry, the legalised cannabis protest down in Kerry, where they marched, I believe, from the courthouse to the park, I believe it was. That was Joe's organising that. We had another protest, a big smoke up down there in a national park down in Clarny. That was a very good day. A nice attendance. It was very, I would just say, if I can, it was a very What's that word? Intimate. Is that the word? It was like a small group of us, like, so we were able to get, everybody was able to get to know each other, like, not intimate as in, like, yeah, that's probably not the right word. Maybe it is, I don't know, but anyhow, that Joe organised that stuff. Joe's an absolute legend, like, Joe's he's got a heart of gold, like, really is, like, my own partner Karina says it all the time. She actually adores Joe. He's like, oh, he's probably one of your nicest friends and stuff. Like, she speaks really highly of him. He's been up at the house a couple of times, and I have to say that about him as well. You know, when you first meet Joe, like, just before I ever see, like, talking to him or anything, you'd see him and you're like, oh, this guy's a tough cookie, I'd say, like. And then you get him, he's like, no, but he's a softy, like, he really is, like, you know. He might have a bit of a tough appearance and stuff, like, he's strong, he's fucking built, like, he's fit out, but honestly, he's got a heart to go, like, he's he would have been a real gem within the community, because he loves soccer, he loves teaching kids as well. I believe he was coaching there for a while, but because of these court cases and stuff that came up, he had to stop doing that. So again, more like that time ago, like, the community was robbed of an asset, because that's what he would have been, as an asset. Like, he was dedicated. He loved soccer. Joe loves soccer. He loves bringing his son to soccer games. He can't do that now for another year. He's going to be spending a year behind bars. He'll definitely get out a bit sooner than that, because he was telling me he's going to be doing programs and stuff to speed up his time and what have you. But, like, this guy needs to be let go. He shouldn't be locked up. The community shouldn't have been robbed of an asset like him. Young kids, like, should have been like, looking up to him, like, just because he uses cannabis. He's not a bad person. He's not a bad role model. He wasn't on the fucking pitch teaching kids, running around with a spliff hanging out of his mouth or anything like that. He used cannabis because it helped him, instead of the medication that was being prescribed to him by the doctor. He was being prescribed, and I'm sure he won't mind me sharing this, like, but other medication, like, was it the diazepam, Xanax and stuff like that. But he found cannabis to be a much better treatment to keep him in a much better quality of mind. I don't know how you would put that, like, but it helped him and improved his quality of life much better than those drugs did. Those drugs didn't really improve his condition a bit, but not his quality of life. Reduce his symptoms, but not improve his quality of life. If you get me, the cannabis did both, and he opted for that, but he was criminalised for that then as well. Now, he was caught with 14,000 worth of cannabis. All right, we will acknowledge that as well. That's a significant amount of cannabis to be getting caught with. But, like, he's not a bad guy. He doesn't deserve to be locked up. He shouldn't be. That was 7 years ago as well. He got caught with that cannabis. Oh, so Joe's included in the show today because people like Joe need to be advocated. He's a patient who uses cannabis, unfortunately, because of the way in which he was introduced to it. Yeah, sure, you know, getting a bit extra, you know, and sharing it with your friends, and kind of covering the cost of your own. Like, Joe wasn't a person who was benefited, and the judge acknowledges this in this trial, that he isn't a person who benefited financially from his involvement in the trade. You know, he wasn't a big, large kingpin, organized crime gang type of guy. No, Joe was just a cannabis consumer himself, and because of just he knew people, I suppose, he knew how to get a bit more cannabis, and then he'd provide that to some of his friends. Like, he's not a bad guy. He's providing a service to the community. His friends probably like him, uses cannabis instead of other things. As Joe said it to the judge, the cannabis is actually a vital dietary supplement to him, and it helps him maintain a healthy homeostasis, I believe, or something along those lines within his body. You know, Joe's an absolute legend. He represented himself. He's the first person to represent himself in a long time in the circuit court in Kerry. I think they said in like 2 decades, like in over 20 years, there hasn't been another person who represented themselves. So Joe's the first person to do that in a long time, and he spoke incredibly well as well in court for himself. I want to see Joe free, so I'm going to be sharing that hashtag along with a lot of my posts now over the next while, and hopefully I'm going to go out there into the community and do a few actions in Joe's name, in Ava's name, and in Alicia's name as well, you know, and many others' names, because nobody should be treated like a criminal for using cannabis. Nobody should be denied access to cannabis as a patient. Everybody should be able to benefit from this plant, and our communities shouldn't be devastated by the prohibition of this plant any longer. They really shouldn't. You know, in this judge's statement, and this is why I said devastated, the judge talks about the drugs devastating society. Like, again, provide evidence of the devastation of drugs on society, because any evidence put forth, and I can definitely bet you that anybody, like even myself, I'm not even like academically qualified to be looking into that, like the social side of things, but I can definitely show you that any evidence of like the drugs devastation in a community, I can show you government policy failing, economic failing within an area, and have been blamed on drugs. You know, drugs. You know, you see certain areas where everybody's quite affluent, and drugs largely don't cause a problem there as such. You know, problematic drugs seen as being problematic, aka, you know, drugs like heroin. It does get demonized. I'm not demonizing it, but it is the one that gets demonized as being the problematic one. And then you see other communities where there's more of a prevalence of it. And is it because the people in there's something wrong with the people in there? I don't know. It's because of the economic hardship that's being faced on the people. And why is there economic hardship in there? Look at our current living situation now, guys. Like, anyone noticing, you know, how hard it is to get by these days? Like, you know, as a parent going to the shopping, you know, the vital things, essential things, you know, the prices are not going up like what, 5-10%, like 50 and 100%. You know, it's absolutely insane. The cost of living is like the money that you're getting, your expendable income, it's not going up. You know, your income is not matching your expenditure, the amount in which it's increasing. There's severe economic hardship in putting people, and you see in certain areas like that economic hardship, then it leads to people, you know, falling into despair, which leads to people, you know, falling into or increasing their risk of addiction. And quite often or not, the drink is one drug which people will go to and use, but a more easier drug, I suppose, to some people in some communities, because going drinking all the time isn't actually very affordable these days. Again, thanks government, forcing people. We seen it actually not too long ago. Actually, in 2020, there was a big bust of an illegal poaching operation, an illegal. I think there was like Polish vodka that were produced. They were calling it. But the guys were brewing it down in the lower road here in Cork, and it got busted. But that was because of the economic hardship. The people then and living on the streets, they were taking their dole cards, and then they were meeting them outside of the post office on a certain day of the week when they were getting paid. They would go in, get paid, give them the guys what they owed them, and then give them back their dole card, and then they'd be able to get more Polish vodka. Like, these people were desperate, but they couldn't afford even to be going into the shops anymore because the minimum unit pricing and all of the increases in taxes and stuff. So, you know, so those people were suffering there because of that. And then you see other drugs then there as a result, you know, heroin, crack. They then will come into the picture for people within those communities. But it's not because of the people in those communities, it's because of the economic hardship in the community, because the inequality of opportunity there, I suppose, really, especially within Ireland anyway. But anyhow, look, I'm kind of going off in a bit of tangents there. Joe Williams, free him. The devastation on communities. That's where I started that. Sorry, I felt like I really went off there and forgot where I was after starting. But the judge says the drugs devastate communities. But as I said, no, it's much more government policies have been devastating communities. And guys, I apologise, I haven't been reading the hot box there all along. It was quite a tough show to get through there earlier. Thankfully, I'm back uncomposed now. I'm very upset about Joe too. Joe, when you watch this back later, don't feel bad that I'm not crying for you, bro. Definitely crying inside, my man. But that earlier part of the show was very, very difficult to get through. As if you were watching it, you definitely would see it. But let's see what you're saying in the hot box now, guys. Recent comments coming in there. Greenbeard says the alcoholic immigrants are drinking cooking oil with an alcohol content of 14%. It's because it's $14.79 for 5 litres in wholesalers. It's a shame, man. That's crazy. Alcohol drinking cooking oil with an alcohol content of 14%. That's crazy, man. I've seen some of those things. I went to the cash and carries and stuff like that, and I've seen like they'd have whiskey there as well for cooking, but it has like salt and pepper in it, so they can sell it a bit cheaper than it's being a food stuff, I believe. There's a bit of a loophole there in the taxes. At least I kind of noticed that it was a bit cheaper. But yeah, crazy, man. I can remember like hearing things that people like going fucking hand sanitizer and stuff like when they were really bad. Going for fucking some people were drinking like methylated spirits and stuff. Oh man, just burning their insides out, like recipe for disaster. Grab your parachutes. As I got enraged when I watched then almost immediately despondent about what can actually be done without a dedicated organisation using the latest techniques to get the message out. Is there an org? Unfortunately, no, man. Unfortunately, no. Like there's the Cannabis Activist Alliance. They're probably the most active at the moment within Ireland. They meet regularly on a weekly basis. A number of grassroots activists. The group has got smaller because again, we're all showing dedicated volunteering our time. We're sacrificing our own personal time. We meet every Tuesday at 9 o'clock. And the meeting sometimes could go on until like up until 11, 12, sometimes even 1. The later parts of the meetings kind of just turn into a bit of a conversation, a bit of a sesh, just having a few bowls and spliffs and stuff like that, just enjoying each other's company and socialising a little bit. It'd be really good. But the earlier parts, we'd be quite we'd be quite organised and getting things done, and putting together our protests and days out and stuff like that, things that you've been to in the past there. So yeah, they're probably the most relevant ones at the moment to be going to. The Cannabis Activist Alliance. They're active on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. So give them a follow there on all those social medias. And get involved, guys. Tuesday nights, 9 o'clock is when they meet on the regular. So tomorrow night, 9 o'clock. The meeting happens over on Zoom, so if anybody wants to get involved, by all means, drop a message, let me know you're interested, and we'll get you in. There's no real gatekeeping done there as such, you know, just your willingness to participate. Whatever time you can volunteer then, it's all appreciated, but anybody who wants to get involved, by all means, Tuesdays 9 is the time. We do our best then to keep banging the drum to get the message out there. I do believe being on the street is the most effective way of raising awareness, getting out there, doing monthly, at least at a minimum, monthly actions out there in public. But again, you know, a lot of us, we all have things going on within our own lives, jobs, family and stuff like that. So it can be quite hard to be able to get enough people there together, to have enough manpower, I suppose, to get that kind of, to be reaching that target of a monthly public action. But hopefully, you know, we're what would you say, we're relentless in this. We're not giving up. We're going to keep going, and hopefully in time to come, maybe we will have that manpower to be able to achieve a goal like that. But look, the Citizens Assembly is happening as well at the moment, so whatever power we have, it's been utilised online to trying to get this message across to all of the citizens out there, but more importantly those attending the Citizens Assembly, as to the harmful effects of the drug policies. Because it's drug policies devastating communities, not drugs. Drug policies. What's everybody else saying out there? Niall Knock, remember Leo, who went to Electric Picnic in London in London in 2021. He was photographed sitting on a grass while picking his nose. Imagine Michael Collins was 10 years younger than Leo when he lost his life. Yeah, that's true, man. So fucking true. Yeah, it's crazy. You think of Leo as being a progressive person. Oh, he's a gay man. You know, he's fucking not only just a gay man, but he's a gay man in a polyamorous relationship. Is that the word? Polyamorous. Himself and his partner are open to others. You know, he's quite an open-minded man. But still, you know, the idea of cannabis lifting a money matter on a bill, do you know? No. Close that mind. You know, instantly, bang, closed door. Cannabis? That's a drug. That's bad. Don't talk to me about cannabis. Like, you know, I can't talk and acknowledge about cannabis in any other way than a drug. It's bad for you. Why don't you fucking clap for air at it, prick? But you know, yeah, Leo, and things like that. Open-minded man, my old man, progressive. He's not. Shame on them, man. Shame. To this day, people like me are still denied access to cannabis. I cannot access cannabis under a bill that should have been in the name of Ava, put forward by Gino Kenny back in 2016. Shame on them. But yes, let's not get too enraged on that. Grab your parachutes. Can Gino Kenny's bill text be seen anywhere? Does anyone know? I believe it can be found somewhere. If you go up onto oireachtas.ie, I believe there'll probably be some evidence of it up there. That's Gino Kenny's bill 2016. And I do believe it was called Ava's bill. I believe there's a video there of Gino actually naming it as such on the floor of the Dáil. I was trying to find it there earlier today, but I couldn't come across it before the show started. But anyhow, someone else might find it out there, and if I do come across it, I will share it again. They were all out of bail and blah last year to mark 100 years since his death. I waited until 8 p.m. to go down on my own to let the scum disappear. No backbone in our leadership. There's not, man. There really isn't, you know. There really, like, that woman had to walk from Cork to Dublin, not once, as I said, but twice, and they lied to her the first time, leading to the second attempt. Like, don't forget that, guys. You know, don't forget that. She made it to Mallow, I believe, just beyond Mallow. They rang her. She said, okay, look, I'll call her off. But mark my words, she said, if you mess me around, if you hesitate in this, I'm marching again. And by God, does she march again? Boy, what a legend. What a legend. But shame on our government. Barry Fields, what's happening? Social Keyboard Warrior. What's happening, guys? Did you guys see there's a growing cannabis in the Midlands? A guy growing cannabis in the Midlands prison. I didn't see that. I would be interested in a link to that. If there's a link there to that, I'll certainly reshare that if there is. Apparently there, guys, someone's growing cannabis in the Midlands prison here. That's a prison here in Ireland. It's not our boy Joe anyway. He's only over the road there in Cork. I'll be visiting him there soon enough. I'll be in touch with the prison there tomorrow and organising a day to go up and there visit Joe. We're also going to be sending him over a bit of a little gift there from the Cannabis Activist Alliance. A number of the members had a bit of a whip around recently, so we're going to be sending him over a little something there for his convenience at the tuck shop, just for a little bit of comfort there in the short time he's going to be there, because I do believe we're going to make a lot of noise around freeing people like Joe Williams, people like Patrick Moore, and the many other prisoners out there. I believe we should be reaching even beyond people locked up for cannabis and saying free all drug prisoners. No person should be in prison for at least the personal possession of drugs, and I would even go as far as saying people for the supply of drugs shouldn't be in prison either. I do believe they should be all released. Anybody in there for like murder, assault and stuff like that associated with the drugs trade, leave them there. That shit, you know, that don't go, you know. But somebody in there just solely for supplying drugs or something like that, as I said, a lot of them are providing a service. Not a lot of them, I know some of them are scumbags, fucking mixing heroin with fucking lethal other concoctions and stuff like that, making up dodgy ecstasy pills, you know. There were certainly some scumbags there involved within the trade, but look, I wouldn't want to leave a good person to be suffering just to be able to get at a scumbag. Look, hopefully you got the scumbag in something else, assault, whatever. But yeah, I think we should be freeing all drug prisoners, and that includes people involved in the trade and the supply of drugs. You know. I do believe I updated you on Joe's thing anyway. He got 2 years suspended, so he's going to be spending about 12 months in prison, I believe, and he's hopefully going to be out sooner rather than later. Greenbeard says CAA for the win. Go on to CAA. Greenbeard saying here, Leo bangs off the same hypocritical stench as Jerry Ryan. That's very fucking true as well. The late Jerry Ryan there. Yeah, I've talked about Jerry on the show in the past, like, but yeah, he would have been on the airwaves, really beating the old drug users with a stick there, like as bad people, and looking down his nose on them. You know? Bit of a pun there, isn't there? But yeah, certainly does reek of that. Grab your parachute says maybe another walk with as many as could be convinced. You know, that's not a bad idea to grab your parachutes. That's certainly something that could be hashed out there. Whoa. Over on the Cannabis Activist Alliance chat. Grab your parachutes if you do want to get involved, if you want to expand in that idea further, or get involved in any other ideas that might be put out there. Tomorrow night, 9 o'clock, drop me a message there, drop me an email, whatever it might be, martinsworldpodcast@gmail.com. And yeah, let's get a few members in there. Let's get the group up and running. I believe we're currently active in putting together a submission for the Citizens Assembly, and any events there we can put together as well. I know there's a camping thing coming up there as well. We won't say too much about that, I don't believe yet. But yeah, there's something coming up in July, I believe. But yeah. Greenbeard's demonizing drugs and everyone who uses them behind doors. They're as bad as Henry Hoover. Was thinking the same parachutes, hundreds of thousands doing the same route in honor of Ava. Yeah, I do believe that's a very good suggestion. Maybe there's a day we could do it there. Maybe on Ava's birthday, the next birthday there, or maybe on her anniversary next year. Two very good ones, or maybe there's another significant date there that could be put forward. But I do believe that's a very good suggestion. You know, as many as possible. You know, it could be what's that religious walk that people do? The Camino. It could be like the cannabisino, the medical cannabis Camino. Yeah, we'll come up with like a fucking creative title for it. Like, but you know what I mean. It doesn't even have to be a creative title. It could be just simply a walk forever. Like, I think that's an aptly crafted title. But yeah, very good idea. Grab your parachutes, and as I said, Cannabis Activist Alliance, and anybody else wants to get involved there, that's the place to expand on that idea. That's where a lot of other things have been born out of. The Tidy Buds, I believe, kind of came out of the Cannabis Activist Alliance also, and a few other things. Yeah, Legend Greenbeard is even going to be bringing her up there in the meeting tomorrow. Grab your parachutes. So even if you're not present, your contribution today is going to be noted. I'll certainly be there myself as well. I'm hoping to make more of a contribution there. I know I was missing the last 2 weeks. Again, just priorities just had me focusing on my family for the last 2 weeks. And hopefully I can find the time there now tomorrow night, as I did today, for the campaign, to beat the drum, so to speak, because that's what this show is about. It's about beating the drum, raising awareness. It's not about me. It's called Martin's World. I'm just sharing my experience. You know, I'm on here blubbering like fucking big baby and stuff like that. But this is my experience. This is my world for you to take as you will. But it's all about the campaign. It's about getting justice for those who need it. Getting access for those who need it. Grabber Parachute says, I don't see a chat. I did join. I'll find you. There's always hope. There has to be. So guys, thanks everybody who's after joining in there today. As I said, today's show is a tribute to Ava, and I do believe it's worthy, that the song itself is worthy of a second playing. Just as we sign off here today, the song that was put out there by Kieran O'Connell, and I do believe it's very much worthy of a song to sign off on. But any final goodbyes there, if you want to get it into the hot box there in the next couple of seconds, and I'll read them out after the song plays, and we'll say goodbye and we'll sign off. So there we go, one last time.
I walk from Cork to Dublin just to see you smile, to take away your suffering just for a little while. I walk those miles with sorrow to the Liffey from the Lee, but oh, the things that I learned when sorrow walked with me. The power of one is mighty, but the power of all is best. rise against the men in suits who stand and beat their chests. For we will not be silenced by the rhetoric that you spout. We will fight for justice, we will stand and scream and shout. Have you not got children of your own? Can you not feel my pain? Or know the devastation that goes on in my brain? To allow a child to suffer, we just cannot abide. Oh, you will not defeat us, you will not cast us aside. The good people of this country, politicians best take note. Don't take us for granted, we have the right to vote. What you don't seem to realize is the people hold the power. And if we choose in ballot box, we'll knock your ivory towers. The time has come to stand as one from all corners of the land. Our children must not suffer while you sit on your hands. So please remember Ava, let's not forget her name. Legalize this medicine, let it not become your shame. I walk from Cork to Dublin just to see you smile, to take away your suffering just for a little while. I walk those miles with sorrow to the Liffey from the Lee. But all the things that I learned when sorrow walked with me. I walk from Cork to Dublin just to see you smile, take away your suffering just for a little while. I walk those miles with sorrow and walk from shore to shore. But just to have my little girl, I'd walk 10,000 more. But just to have my little girl, I'd walk 10,000 more.
Absolutely beautiful song. Just want to get a few more shout outs there, so guys, and we'll sign off. I just see a few comments after coming in there, and some from earlier on in the show actually, so apologies for not getting to you a bit sooner, but shout out to Casa de Strugas out there in the audience. Casa de Strugas saying earlier, Ava Barry will never be forgotten. Her short life has enabled many patients in Ireland in need of medical cannabis, and without parents like Vera, we would not have a medical cannabis access program. That's true, you know. As much as I talk down about the medical cannabis access program, we wouldn't have it without Vera. But it's a crying shame we don't have Ava's bill, as put forward by Gino Kenny back in 2016. You know yourself, you would have seen that bill as well, CASA, and it would have enabled many people even more access to cannabis. But let's hope going forward that even more people can benefit in Ava's name. Nice one for your message, bud. See Greenbird shared the link to that song. I just shared it there as well. Bobby O'Brien says blinkers at the desk. What's happening, Bobby? It's hopefully earlier in the show as well, I didn't upset too many other people out there. Like, I know for me anyway, it was very difficult. So many messages coming in there. Sorry guys, I didn't get around to all of those messages there earlier in the show. Serenable out there as well says, hi Martin, hope you and the family enjoying the fine bank holiday weekend. Said we did, we got out there yesterday. We were down in the lovely sunny south coast down in Waterford. Beautiful sunny day down in the petting zoo there in Ardmore. Then stopped off in Youghal on the way back for a bit of some fast food and some ice cream. It was lovely. Who else out there? Anybody else I miss? Fudge, hey, Francis Fudge is out in the audience. Nice to see you in the hot box there as well, Francis Fudge. And you're probably after floating off there as well. Many people are after signing off probably, but just giving shout outs to people I missed earlier in the show while I was a bit teary-eyed. Powerful song, says Greenbird. Yeah. Barry Fields, we got you earlier. Yeah, I think that's everybody. Bobby O'Brien says, great streamer. Nice one, Bobby. It's great to get on, guys. Apologies not been getting on more. I do intend on getting on as much as I can. As this is a great way to beat the drum. But for me, as an avid campaigner, it's a great way to just continue to raise awareness, getting highlighting the issues caused by prohibition, because the media won't highlight it as such. Like I haven't seen one single media outlet actually shame the government for making Vera walk from Cork to Dublin, for call them out for denying patients like Eva access sooner, preventing seizures sooner, reducing harm sooner. Like, why aren't they calling them out? Like, why? But I kind of understand they gotta go with the flow. But that's what I'm here for, and I'm happy to be doing this. Who else is there? Epic, says Barry Fields. Bobby O'Brien says, Ireland smelling like garlic wheat yet. Almost there, Bobby. I hear week 2 of Flower is nearing, I hear. But that's just what I hear on the grapevine anyway. I heard that from Swim. Keep her lit, everybody, says Greenbeard. Chilbert says, have a good week all. Yes, certainly, guys. Enjoy the rest of the bank holiday, everybody in the Republic, guys in the north and over in the UK. Sorry. Is it a bank holiday for yourself over there on the East Coast, Bobby? Yeah. Hopefully it is anyway. Right, guys. I'm going to love you and leave you. I've got one of my daughters up on stage later today, so we're going to be heading to the Opera House later this evening. So we got to sort out some little babysitter and all of that fun stuff that us parents do. So I look forward to having a nice evening, and I look forward to being back with you at the latest this day next week, okay? Keep an eye out on the YouTube. Make sure you subscribe. Get over to Rumble as well. Give me a follow or a subscribe over there as well. Didn't stream there today as I just didn't get the opportunity to set up the link, but anyhow, give me a follow over there anyway, and we'll get the link going over there too. YouTube took away the monetization because apparently I'm promoting drug use, as if I would do such a thing. I'm only talking about social issues, devastation caused by drug policy, and engaging in protest, civil disobedience, but not promoting drug use at all. But for some reason they seem to think I am, and they took away my monetization tools. But nonetheless, we keep on doing what we do. Even if I put my own hand into my pocket and pay for the services and the subscriptions to do the stream, no problem whatsoever. But for those who continue to support on Patreon and PayPal and all of that stuff, guys, you're absolute heroes. Really appreciate it. Everybody who likes and interacts in the show, much love, guys. You give me the motivation and fill me with the fuel I need to continue doing that. The community spirit that happens within the Hotbox over on Telegram, guys, it's I can't even put into words. There's a real strong connection over there between the people who interact on a regular basis. It's really nice. People as far as across the pond there over in America interact and feel very much part of the community. So that's really good. So I love all of that, and I'm happy to do that, and I'm really grateful for everybody who helps me to do that as well. So much love, everybody. Have a nice week. Hopefully the sun is shining wherever you are. Hopefully you get a bit of rain too if you're a gardener and stuff, because you don't want too much sunshine, because that can be a bit of a pain in the arse as well. But anyhow, let's hope everybody's having a nice week anyway, guys. Much love. Peace. Keep her lit. Stay blessed. Bye bye.